Hello and welcome everybody to the Icebreakers Lookbook. My name is Frankie and I'm here today with the incredible Alexandra Schauman, aka Sandra D. She's all the way from Greece, she's all the way from Sweden, she is a triple threat, and thank you for being here tonight with me to discuss all of the glamorous looks, the makeup, the hair, the costumes are creative, from Dancing on Ice, musicals week.
Yes, it was a fabulous week. I was all here for it. I loved it. I felt like, woo! Finally, something that got me really excited. But I have to mention, you look absolutely stunning. That is quite the look. I love it.
If you guys at home aren't watching us, make sure that you go onto Spotify or wherever you get your podcast and see if you can see us in full Technicolor video, because this week, as I mentioned, Alex is looking full Sandra D. She's gone Grease, inspired by musicals week, but I have gone for Starlight Express. A little bit of a harsher look. I'm going full Electra inspired Starlight Express.
Yes, but you are rocking the look. It looks stunning, and the bling, 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 and everything too. But I think we should just crack on. It was a bling, bling night. I loved a lot of things. There was a lot of things going on, lots of different looks, lots of different screens. We had an amazing opening number as well. Maybe we should start with that one actually, because that was it set the piece, set the night. It was a beautiful. I love the screens. I loved, obviously, we had Michael Ball and we had Alfie Bow on stage singing live. It was so exciting. They did, it was West Side Story, wasn't it? It was stunning.
Tonight. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, Alfie. I'm sorry, Michael. I apologize. And I've
Well, I sang last time. You sing this time. I love it.
They were resplendent. The backdrop to their Tonight was this red velvet theatre with the gold accents. It was like being transported to the West End, but like the most luxurious West End theatre that you've ever been to. And I think it really set the tone and made the audience feel like they were part of something special. And tonight's show was really very special, I thought.
Yes, they didn't spare anything. I feel like there was lots of again, sparkles, glitz and glamour, but all different musicals as well. So it was quite an interesting mixed bunch there. So we should start from the top, which was Molly and Colin, and they skated to Mamma Mia. Which I thought was a really fun, funky number. Worked for them. Here you see them in their costumes, both looking super cute. And Molly, as always, very, very stunning. She's so cute, and they really suited this part. Obviously playing Sky and Sophie, loved up couple there, and I felt like really they took us there. The sets were the screens were Grease. They started off in a set piece that was the typical white and blue Greek houses, and I really enjoyed it. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, they did set the scene. As you can see here in this costume, in the costumes here, it's reflected in the blue and white that they're both wearing. I mean, the minute you think of Mamma Mia and you think of Greece and that whole setup, you sort of are transported to Santorini, aren't you? With the white buildings and the blue, the Mediterranean colours, absolutely stunning. She's very cute. This was perfectly cast, I felt, because she's a young woman trying to find herself and trying to find her way in life. And I thought she was perfectly cast as Sophie, who was in a sort of a similar position in the Mamma Mia storyline. But if we take a look at how beautiful she looks here, I mean, I just think she's absolutely stunning there. Look at her, she's gorgeous.
Yeah, I love this. And again, I like the hair it was quite understated. It wasn't Dancing on Ice. It wasn't the wigs and the big hair and the big makeup. But equally, her features came out, and again, that glowy, dewy skin, and obviously her hair is so pretty. It looks natural. Obviously, there might be some hair pieces, and it was in a soft curl, but really, really looked perfect on her.
And also, Colin's hair looked great this week. Look at him.
Well, I think last week we had him in that wig, so I do. I think he quite enjoyed it, to be honest. But I do love Colin in his own hair, so it was quite funky there as well, and I kind of enjoyed seeing him back to himself.
Yes, I agree.
I prefer you as you.
I agree with you. Now, as this routine went on a little bit, and it was very cute and very fun and very vibrant, and the colours reflected that, but they also introduced a lot of pink into the lighting behind them, on the screens behind them, and also into the ambient lighting in the studio. And I thought that was an interesting choice. But if you think about it, I guess blue is not particularly complementary lighting to anybody. I mean, it can wash you out. It can make you look a little bit like, it's a sad color, or it's a sky and a sea color, obviously, but it can be quite a sad color. So I thought it was interesting that they introduced the pink, and it made it feel a lot more playful and youthful, I think, which I think they deserved. So I'm glad they did do that. It was an interesting choice, but I liked it.
Yeah, and I think I think it was there to highlight that there was a love story at the end of the day too, you know. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was nice, and obviously they had some big tricks in the end as well. So you know, maybe they needed a bit of not blue light for that. Who knows?
Well, I have to say my wig's very itchy today. Sorry about that. I keep scratching my face and
On
scratching
that
my
note,
nose.
we need to crack on so you don't get the cat to come. Is a kitten around? Come and scratch you a little bit.
They're scratching my feet. That'll do. Thank you very much. But yeah, we was very sorry to see Colin and Molly go. Spoiler alert. So Molly no more. But they went out on a high. I feel that this routine was really, really showcased her perfectly.
Yes, and we're really going to miss you guys, and you need to be so, so proud because you brought a lot to this competition and gave us a lot of stunning looks and routines. So thank you
Yeah,
so
we cried happy tears along with you when you left. So sorry, guys.
much. Yeah. So skating second, we had Sam and Molly, and they skated to Oliver, Do Anything. What do you think of their look here, Frankie?
Yeah, I mean, when I heard that they were going to be skating to Oliver, I was like, that's a little bit, workhouse type look. It's very, sort of Dickensian, Victorian, kind of bit drab. So I was a little bit worried about that. And I think obviously they wanted to make Molly look like Nancy, which was, I think, again, perfectly cast. I think when we think about Sam here, he is a cheeky, cheerful chappy, isn't he? And you can imagine him being very mischievous. They alluded to that in the VT. But I was a bit concerned about if the costumes would be on the duller side. This is a sort of like consider yourself type moment.
Yeah.
He's going to be the Artful Dodger, but still I was a little bit worried. But actually, they are dull colours and there are not a lot of sparkles. But actually, I think it fitted perfectly. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I thought he's particularly looked really smart, and I liked that the pant was a bit. At this moment, I didn't know Matt is probably having a whole again with the short pant, but I quite enjoyed seeing his little socks stick up, and we saw his boot and everything. So I really enjoyed his look. I thought he looked very dapper, and it suited the character, and it suited him actually on the ice. I feel like it was good. I got to see more of his skating somehow. I did miss Molly's pink hair, but obviously it wouldn't have been suited for here. I think it's the first week we've seen her in something else than pink, isn't it, Frankie? And I think she actually looked really gorgeous in this really dark wig as well.
I thought it was nice actually because you're right. We've seen her in pink a lot, and I'm very jealous because I love her pink hair. I really do. But this transformed her completely. I mean, she's like a different girl.
Yeah.
You can barely recognize her there with the dark hair. And I don't know if she's ever been dark or if that's more akin to her natural color, but she definitely needs to try it because it suits her. It really made her blue or her light. Are they blue or green? Her eyes? I think they're blue or bluey green, but really made her eyes pop. I mean,
Yes.
looks stunning there with this dark colour. And the wig actually is a really good one because you can't, unlike my wig, you can't see the hairline at all.
Maybe it was itchy as well. Maybe it was itchy, but no, you're very right. It's a perfect. Maybe it's a. Well, it can't be a half wig because then her pink hair would show. But no, they done perfectly because obviously when you wear a wig, that's the hardest thing to fit right across the hairline as well. That it's not if it's. I have quite a large head, so usually wigs are quite small on me. And what happens is they maybe start off here and then they creep back and back and back. So again, obviously the glam squad are amazing on Dancing on Ice, so they would have all this under control. But it can be quite tricky as well wearing a wig. But she looked stunning in that. And again, I think she could have a bit of different makeup, and she did because of the dark hair as well. They've done more poppy colors on her when she's had her pink hair. But this was really, I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the routine as well, the set piece and everything. But especially, she looked gorgeous. Looked gorgeous, Mary Molly.
Yeah, so I think as we were talking about the wigs, actually, it's interesting that you should mention that and people at home. I have a perfect demonstration of that now. That my wig is creeping backwards as the night goes on, and that can sometimes be because, like me, Molly has a lot of hair naturally herself, and of course you have to go to great lengths to make sure that your hair is braided or patted down. Or, I mean, obviously, what I've done under here is I've done a couple of rows, something for it to grip onto at the front, and then obviously something to grip onto at the back. But by the time you've done all that, you end up with a really big head. Whether you've got a big head or not, it's all the hair underneath.
Yeah.
So I think they did a really good job of making that look very seamless. But if we move on to looking at her makeup, her makeup this week. Again, very dewy. I mean, these young women just look stunning, don't they? But what I
Stunning.
like here is they've given her a cat eye, which it can be a very dramatic look, but they've made it actually very soft and subtle.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's a very they're brilliant at doing this because they can kind of change, like you said, a cat eye usually can be quite more sultry, more wouldn't be fitting for this routine, but it's really done in a more, I think it may be the colors, is it more in a dark brown? I need to see a close up, but it's done in a softer way, and I think it's just really again suits her. She suits a lot of different looks, but I really really enjoyed this look for both of them.
This is like a peachy look. It's got like actually it's got a black eyeliner and a black
Ooh.
lash to it. She's got a light eyebrow, which is a bold choice when you're going for a black eyeliner. I normally would like to see a darker eyebrow there, but it actually suits her very well the way that they've done it here, especially with the peachy lips and the peachy blusher. So I think that's a look I'm going to try actually. Maybe a lighter eyebrow with peachy skin.
See, we're
Give that
getting inspired here, and we do need to get our hands on whatever foundation, whatever it is that they're using to get so dewy. And I need to send a little text and ask for moisturizing tips or something because they are really all looking fantastic.
Well, you won't be gatekeeping that. You'll be sharing that with us next week for sure.
Definitely, definitely. If I find out any back behind the scenes or backstage secrets. But if we move on, Michaela and Mark were skating next, and again, we got a completely different look here. And I think Michaela's done. She's had so many different looks, and obviously here they were skating to cabaret. So she was embodying Sally Bowles, and that wig and that makeup. I mean, it was when we said that maybe Molly's makeup was a bit not understated, but here they went full out. She had the red lip, she had full blue on her eyes, she had the black short, like pixie cut wig with a really, really sharp pointed fringe as well. And obviously they were both in black, but it was a really, really strong look.
Now, what I have a question for you.
Hmm.
Do you think that this wig may have been recycled from when we saw Charlie skate to Ghost as Demi Moore? Because she had the black short bob wig, and I'm wondering if they've just cut a bit of a vampire fringe into that and gone, hey, presto, here we go. What do you think?
I'm not sure. Potentially, I do know that when there's wigs in the show, what happens is the team comes in, or the hair person in charge. Marcus would be there as well. Obviously, he's the main person in charge. But they come in and they work on the wigs earlier in the weeks. They're all on their little head, and they get them done so that when you go to put your wig on, it's already in style. Because obviously, sometimes if you have an opening number, if there's quick changes, there's no time to put the wig on and then style it. So they're all done, and it's quite a funny look backstage when you have all these heads, model heads kind of, and all these different wigs set on, especially when it's some weeks with kind of crazier. I think one musical week years ago we had Rapunzel or something, and her hair was like out in the corridors because it was it took
Too
up so
big.
much space. Too big.
It was just too big. Hair everywhere. Big hair, don't care. Now, this makeup look on Michaela this week. Now, this is interesting. She's got a very big, bright blue eyeshadow and a bright red lipstick. And I feel like this would have been very much at home last week in the 80s. But last week, I thought the makeup was quite tame. But this week, I'm like, yes, go big, go home.
Yes. Well, maybe they listened to the podcast and gave us a bit of that, but gave us a bit of 80s love this week as well. No, it was interesting. Obviously, I've seen makeup like this in cabaret, obviously from the style, and it's in set in Germany and everything. But when she went to the VT they showed, she actually went to the theater on the West End and stuff, and it wasn't the makeup that. The Sally Bolt there had on. So but again, I liked it on Michaela. She has, she can pull off a lot of looks, that girl.
Now, again, a very light eyebrow, and I would have thought with this dark wig and this dramatic makeup, they would have done her eyebrow much darker. Now, if we think about kind of cabaret or that typical
Yeah.
look for this kind of routine, you would have expected a very sharp black sort
Yes.
of wartime eyebrow. So this is another bold choice with the lighter eyebrow. I think I would have liked to have seen something a bit darker.
Yeah. Well, I hear that you like a dark eyebrow, right?
Well, with a
I can.
black wig, I mean, she's a fair-haired, fair-skinned lady, so not with her
No, I
normal
agree. Especially
colour,
for
but
this look, I
dark
think
wig.
she could have had a much stronger. Because I think that's what they actually had as well in the in. I even think about the movie because obviously it's a movie made as well, apart from the musical. So, yeah, I agree on that. Could have had a
Yeah,
stronger brow.
I think they dropped the ball on the brow, but where they dropped the ball on the brow, they picked it up 10 million times in the costume. So let's talk about Mark and Michaela's costuming here. I mean, va 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 boom! She looks amazing.
Hot, hot, hot. Just I love this look for them. Again, the way they started off, it was like a little musical within a musical. The whole number was set and choreographed stunningly, and the costumes, mwah, chef's kiss. I really enjoy this on them, and what a cute body I have to say that Michaela has. This costume was not hiding anything. I mean, she was in this black, it was tight, it was fishnets, she had the stockings with the pull up as well, so it was a very kind of, it was a very sexy look actually.
Very, very demure, very sexy. Also, Mark, you look pretty good too. So we're showing
Yes.
you some love too. You look great.
Yeah, I kind of love it, like a half t-shirt as well. Obviously, the top half was more meshy, more see-through. So really,
It's giving
yeah,
me,
both
Mark's
very,
giving me,
very more
Mark,
sexy.
Mark's giving me a corseted look here. Obviously, he's got the see-through top half of the shirt, and then sort of a corseted look just over the top of his chest. So, I mean, yeah, they both of them, the two of them, definitely getting 10 out of 10 for the sex appeal levels on this one, people.
Well, before we move on to the next couple, we have to talk about another outstanding look that we had on the main episode of Icebreakers. We had a little special guest come visit, and he was looking fantastic. What did you think, Frankie?
Well, it was our very own Matt Evers. It was the queen, the king, the prince of podcasts, in fact. So he showed up fully dressed like a monarch from the 14th century. He had his robe, he had his crown. Honestly, the guy blew me. I feel like I should just bow down to him and like back out on my hands and knees. Honestly, we're just all subjects to the queen, the king, the prince of podcast, Matt Evers. So well done to you, Matt. Thank you for brightening our day with your red. Well, Alex called you a Dalmatian at one point, which I thought was a little bit cool.
I mean,
Really
we
weird.
had everything going on. And you had intro music. So first we didn't see anything, we just heard something. You had intro music, and then yes, it was a fabulous costume that was very expensive, but it had lots of things going on. It was a mushroom cap and 101 Dalmatians all in one, wrapped into a king and prince, and yeah, I loved it.
It's a
Well
10 from
done.
me. It's a 10 from me.
A 10.
But now, in perfect contrast, we've gone completely back to the farm for our next couple.
That was very, very good. Yeah, next skated was we had Dan and Vanessa, and their musical they had been given was Oklahoma. So yeah, you're very right. We went back in time, and we went back not from Germany then all the way to the States, Oklahoma, and it was cowboy ranch. It was line dancing. I don't know.
It was, I don't know if you people at home or if you, Alex, have been watching Yellowstone recently, but I know, love Yellowstone, obviously the Kevin Costner series that's been out. But what's really funny about Yellowstone is I always say this to David. I'm always like, on it, the Cowboys every week they dance. Somebody cries and they go to a dance. Now you can't unsee it. Like every time you watch Yellowstone now, you're like, she's right, they're doing a dance again. The Cowboys are always dancing and somebody's always crying. So it was perfectly fitting, I thought, that Dan and Vanessa came out dressed as cowboys and cowgirls and started dancing. And as looks go, as country looks go, because it's not really a glamorous kind of feel to it. I mean, it's definitely got a very, earthy kind of homely feel to it. But as looks go, I think they really pulled this one off.
Yes, obviously we saw Dan there in again very handsome. He suited very well this costume. He had his jeans on with these, I don't know what they're called that cowboys wear. These, I don't have the English word for it now, but the pantalones things.
No,
The
they're called chaps. They're called
chap.
chaps, and they're super.
Oh,
Yeah, they're called chaps, and they're super sexy because they kind of reveal the bit at the front and the bit at the back. I mean, they got the front and back going on. It's like north and south. So whichever way he turned, you were like, oh, hello. I mean, hi, ride him, cowboy. What do you call that in Swedish?
oh no, just because you asked me, it's gone out of my head. But there's definitely a word.
Well, I give you
And
time to think about that to the end of
yes,
the
I'll think
podcast.
of it. But it's not called chaps. I'm thinking of like chapstick when you say that. Chaps. Is it?
You can see his chapstick sticking out the front. Hello.
Oh yeah. And obviously, I know I asked for it and last week it delivered and this week delivered even more. Was wearing like a full perm, Dan. So I applaud. I applaud. Very happy that we get completely different looks from it. Even though apparently it wasn't a wig. Maybe it's his
No,
own hair.
yeah, they said that that was Dan's own hair. I'm actually going to have to do a close up on it because this guy's got some mane. Look at that. Hello. So they must have
Yeah.
spent all day curling his hair, which I approve of.
He actually had some time in hair and makeup. And I think actually was mentioned in one of the talks later in the show. Stephen said it to him as well that, he started off and he didn't want so much, tan or costume or hair and makeup. And apparently they're all in there asking for more now. So there we go. We'll see what semifinals will bring look wise. But Vanessa looked stunning as she always does. I liked her. I liked her look. I like the in this way. I liked her hair as well, and I like this front bit as well, and her long hair as well. But I thought the skirt was a bit on the long side. I had to say, it's not easy to skate in a long skirt.
Right. So the minute I saw this routine, I was like, "Oh, that's a very long skirt." Now they talked in the VT about them doing these hard tricks which they did this week. Vanessa is not an ice dancer; she is a pair skater. Alex and I can relate strongly to this. We are also not ice dancers; we are pair skaters, and pair skating is a little bit more athletic than ice dancing. So we typically, in competition or in professional pair skating, tend to wear short skirts. Pair skaters very rarely wear long skirts. We either wear cat suits, like all in one cat suits, or we wear short skirts. So when she came out in this long skirt and they'd already talked about doing these tricks, I was like, oof, that's quite long. Well, lo and behold, they ended up in the skate off. And what happened, Alex?
Yeah, she caught her. I think I would have to go back and watch it, but she caught her on a trick. She caught her skirt on the blade and she actually put her foot through it and she was stuck for a good. I mean, she was very quick. And again, the true professional as Vanessa is, she got it, she fixed it and they could continue. But those must have been some horrifying seconds because I could actually, my palms kept they were sweaty before the routine, before the skate off, anyways. And then, they were really kind of almost dripping by that because I was like, oh no, get it off. But she was successful, but it was stressful.
Yeah, I
And
mean, you and I, obviously, as professional skaters, we spotted it straight away, and I could see she was hopping around trying to just rip that skirt. And we've all been in that situation. It's absolutely terrifying. Obviously, you're live on television. You're conscious that you don't want to let your partner down. This has nothing to do with him. This has everything to do with you. And so, as a professional, you're absolutely horrified this is happening to you. And I think it's something that costume department will be aware of. Well, they're probably already aware of it, or they certainly should be aware of. They'll definitely be aware of it next time. Vanessa doesn't need long costumes. She needs tight, short, out of the way costumes with no issues. This routine was all about the theming, and it was very themed, and it was very on theme. It's the details here. His underneath his shirt, he's got the scarf, he's got the chaps on, but there's a lot going on here, and I think it did end up becoming a little bit cumbersome and a little bit off-putting for both of them.
yeah, no, I agree. And I think this is, again, the costume department are on top of these things. They do try to do everything for these. You have dress rehearsals. There's a lot of things that go in place for you to be safe out there. But I would also prefer not to have such a long skirt, especially when, especially in the girls, Vanessa's not, she's quite small, she's quite tiny. So when you bend, as we do in skates as well, or if you do tricks, I was thinking for her throw jump as well. When you jump, the one leg goes up a bit higher. And for the landing, if you catch something like that, it's just something, again, I always say it, I'm a safety girl. I'd rather not have to worry about those things. And yes, especially after that moment, I actually, for the rest of the skate off, kept my eye on the skirt and the
Now,
dangly bit. So it
another
takes away performance.
Now, another thing I don't like to see as well are the earrings. She's got very, very long earrings in here. Now, I'm okay if they're clip-ons, but they to me look like they're pierced earrings. The reason why I don't like the earrings, they're beautiful earrings and she looks great in them, but the reason why I don't like long dangly earrings like that is it's so easy for even a professional partner, not just a celebrity partner, to, as he's handling you or as you're skating past each other or as your arms are going around each other's heads, to catch that earring and yank it out of your ear, and you can end up with a really serious injury. I never, ever, ever would skate in long earrings. Clip-ons, yes, because they can be flung away and no damage to your ear, but these look like piercings. That would make me very, very, very nervous.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I mean, we're both sporting quite large earrings, but obviously we just sat here talking about skating, not actually skating on the ice. And I would do the same thing. I would be nervous to have something that, it's just something you could catch in the guys' shirt or just a part of costume. It doesn't have to be like, it's not like you have to put your hand through it, but you know, it's again an element that doesn't need to be there when there's so many things going on the ice anyways, and skating is unpredictable as it is.
But in terms of her makeup, I mean, she's got this gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous cat eye. Now, well, they've really accentuated her inner eyelids here, or the inner corners, I should say, of the eye. They've really brought her eyeliner to its black eyeliner, and they've brought it to a strong point in the corner of her eye. And then they've taken it out to the side of her eye and given her a real smoky finish. So you've got almost like a cross between a cat eye and a smoky eye. And I am here all day for this look on her. I just think it's stunning. It opens up her eyes, it accentuates the color, the depth of the brown of her eyes. And then they've given her really sheeny, peachy, golden kind of glow to her face. She looks absolutely stunning. And the color that they've used on her lips, it's like a sheerish lip gloss, and it's made her teeth look absolutely gorgeous and white. I mean, she's got lovely teeth anyway, obviously gorgeous white teeth. But then we need to talk about this hairpiece at the front of her. What's happening there?
Yes, I actually, to be honest, when they were skating and in the routine, I didn't find it distracting as it is now distracting me when you're showing the picture right there. Almost looks like a little bit of a like
I don't know
a
what's
little.
going on. It looks like it could just like flip up at any moment and catch some wind.
Yeah,
It suits her actually, but
it
it's
does
giving
suit
her.
her. I just thought that it looks like a bit like a mohawk, but it suits her. But I didn't find it. Obviously, maybe that's just the picture, but I didn't find it distracting. Maybe there was too many things for me to watch throughout the routine. So I didn't find it, yeah, distracting on the ice. I actually just thought she looked the part.
Well, they look fantastic. We got to see them again in the skate off, and congratulations, they made it through to next week. But speaking of skate offs, consistently for the last 2 or 3 weeks, Antoinette has been in the skate off, but this week, absolutely not. They brought down the house. They closed the show, they brought down the house. I don't think there was a dry eye, so I hope that they had waterproof makeup on, because if they were as emotional as we were, it's going to be a roller coaster.
Yes, obviously they were skating. They were last out, and they skated to Les Mis. Which again, it was funny because they were both dressed as guys because the routine they had was "Bring Him Home," which is a duet between two of the guys as well. So, but it was stunning. They had a big set piece. The whole atmosphere in the studio, I could feel it through my screen because it changed, and the judges echoed that, saying that there wasn't a dry eye, and they had goosebumps, and it was such a moment. And I'm very, very proud of them as well, because what was really stunning, look wise, creative wise, for this was that they had low smoke that filled the whole ice and kind of dispatched throughout the number. But it's quite difficult to skate in the low smoke as well, because you don't see the ice, so you don't see your feet. And even though, yes, we're not meant to look down, you still look and see the ice. And with the smoke, you don't. So it's quite tricky as well. And I know for a fact that you just get the dress run to test the smoke and maybe one of the camera blocks. So you don't have that many tries. So well done for them again they didn't let anything phase them tonight. I feel like they were just so in tune and just completely committed.
So, for people at home, if you don't understand what the smoke is, it's basically a dry ice product, and it creates smoke all over the ice, but it sits down low. It doesn't rise up into the air like you would expect. Like you would expect mist or fog would do. However, when you start skating, it does get disturbed, and it does start to dissipate up higher into the atmosphere. And as Alex was saying, it's not that we look down at the ice. We actively encourage people not to look down at the ice. Of course we do, because you are meant to look above and project out to the audience. But as you're skating and projecting out to the audience, you do see ahead of you. And I would like to compare it to driving in fog. So, of course, when you're driving, you're not looking down at the road. Of course, you're looking up ahead of you, but you're aware that that fog is blurring your view, and it just makes you feel off, like you can't quite get the right perspective, especially when in this case, obviously, it was quite a dark set, so the lights were low. So, obviously, then those lights reflect from the dry ice as well. So, you're getting like this glow, which possibly didn't show on camera, but we know as skaters that when you're skating through it, you can get kind of a bit of like a blurry blowback towards you as you're looking at it, or visual. So it is a really difficult thing to do, and especially for Anton. I mean, Annette, sorry, she will have done this many times. She knows how to work with dry ice. But for Anton, it must have been quite off-putting, and I think they coped with it really well. But as you said, Alex, the set piece that they had, I mean, Dance Gone Ice blew the budget on this piece alone this week. I think on Musicals Week in general, actually, there were some incredible set pieces, and congratulations to the set dressers because they absolutely outdid themselves this week, and to the props guys who made all that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It was visually a very stunning week, and I feel like it really delivered. I know we probably mentioned it already, but a few weeks fell flat, but this week was, and the costumes here, I have to say, again, I really thought, again, not vests, pants, belts, but just again, they completely looked the part. And maybe the fact that they weren't, I don't want to call it simple because it's not the right word, but a bit understated again, but just added to this routine for me.
I thought they were actually. That's interesting that you thought they were simple because I thought they were very luxurious. I liked the button detailing. I liked the gold. I liked the red, black, and gold and white theme throughout. It really transported me to that sort of era in France. The Bastille Day. That's all that sort of like feeling that we're getting from this era. I loved the red around their waist. I thought it was a nice bright satin. It could have easily have been a dull kind of matte red, but it was a bright satin which echoed on obviously Annette's that echoed there on Annette's vest. I just think the whole thing, honestly, I'm almost speechless because the whole, just watching them now and looking at them now is taking me back to this routine and how much I loved it and how emotional and how much depth there was to this routine that I think people at home wouldn't have appreciated the way that you and I as pro skaters appreciated.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think I kind of like, I keep calling it understated. I just mean it didn't take away. For me, if it would have been bling and really, too much, it would have taken away from this piece that was quite, like you said, emotional. It was so, they invited us almost into that world, and I was just completely blown away. But I loved Annette here as well, stunning as always. But again, her hair kind of slicked back in a bun, and again, not too much makeup because obviously they want to make her look gorgeous, but she wasn't supposed to be, I guess it was still, she's a guy at this point, kind of. So, but I think it really suited her as well. And again, so nice to see something different. She's obviously had funky looks so far, but this again was something quite different.
I think they focused more here on the shape of her face, her bone structure. Like you said, she's meant to be a masculine look. You can't make her look masculine because she's a very feminine
No.
girl. But it was a kind of, like you said, a slicked back look and sort of an androgynous feel to her. And the details again on this costume. We talk about the cummerbunds around the waists, how they've been double knotted, and then if you look as well, they've got these white bandanas around their necks, and they've each got one, but it just finishes this piece off. It gives it that historical feel that it wouldn't have had without those pieces with just an open kind of neck shirt. So I just think there was a lot of thought and a lot of effort that went into this particular costume. And we can't really speak much about the looks, about the makeup, because it is a very fresh face look for her,
Yeah.
very androgynous kind of feel to it. And, the hair, again, there's no hair pieces there. It's just a slicked back look. But you're right, it perfectly fit with the theme. It perfectly fit with the understatedness of what they were trying to achieve while still drawing us into this intimate story that they told us. I was all over it. I didn't really write much down because I just really enjoyed the piece.
No, I did exactly that too. And obviously then we went from that kind of understated, like we said, intimate routine. We had the voting window routine, which we do have to mention a little bit. Moulin Rouge. So then it
I'm
went there to, yeah, full on sparkles and everything. So
I'm
yeah.
a big fan of Moulin Rouge. I'm a big fan of the musical and a big fan of it in general. But I was a little blown away by the ladies' costumes. I mean, because they were those corsets that came under the bust, but then the bust was fully nude. And we just had a few sparkles drippled on there just to cover just to make sure you weren't cold. But honestly, I was a bit like, are we going to hit? Well, I mean, it was very creative the way it was done, very burlesque, obviously, as Moulin Rouge is. But I didn't know if it was a little bit too risque for the audience. What did you think?
Yeah, I did like it. I liked that the girls on stage all had kind of different looks, so they didn't look all the same. They had some that had, a different tied on and a different, like you said, corset look and stuff. And what was quite revealing with this look for me was that they started off, they had like a little shrug or something on, and to a musical cue, they all went like boom, and then it came off. So it was actually really, I mean, creatively done because that's kind of what burlesque is. But you're right, that for me made it a bit risque, maybe that I was actually a full-on striptease on Dancing on Ice. We don't know what people are going to say. I don't mind, but again, it's a family show, and it's been maybe in the past things like that haven't always been welcomed. So we'll see what people say.
Yeah, we had Magic Mike last year, and I think that was a little bit of a bit of an eyebrow raiser, and I think this one might be along those lines. But hey, what's life without a little controversy? But that has come to the end of this. It's been a short and sweet lookbook this week. I think next week what we'll do is we'll get into the judges' looks as well, and maybe a bit of Holly and Stephen. I mean, this week Holly and Stephen looked incredible in their burgundies and purples. I mean, very rich colours. I really liked their looks. And I think next week we'll probably talk. We talked a little bit last week about Jane Torval's look and how
Yes.
beautiful she was in the purple. But I think next week we'll get more into these looks and maybe the overall looks of the show as well in general. We had Amber Heard, of course, who was gorgeous and very glamorous and very sexy in her black little outfits. And then, of course, we had Michael Ball and Alfie Boe, who were in their tuxedos looking absolutely spectacular. So I think overall this week, musicals has been an incredible journey. So thank you for giving us a brilliant week.
Yes, it's definitely my favorite week so far, I actually have to say.
Right, we don't have anything this week for the lookbook. Now, normally we do a tutorial for you guys, but I think we're just a little bit overdone this week, so there's not really much we can talk about. We can talk about, however, wigs. Now, when you do wear a wig, I think we touched on this earlier, it's really important to make sure that you braid your hair so it's as tight to your head as possible and get it all tucked in and get it all pulled under, because the key is obviously to make your head small as small as possible. Now, I have a rather large head. Alex has a rather large head. I've got a lot of hair. There's a lot of scaffolding going on under here, and I wouldn't want to skate in this wig. But if I was skating in this wig, I would have put a lot more effort into making sure that this was a lot tighter. Any of you that have skated in wigs, you'll know it's not easy. I've skated in a million wigs. I'm sure Alex has skated in a million wigs. So if you have skated in wigs, do let us know in the comments below. But make sure that you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, make sure you get notifications, and let us know what you would like to see on the lookbook next week.
Yes, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for being here with us. And yes, please, like Frankie just said, let us know what you want to see and hear, and we will deliver.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you soon.
Mwah.